From wherever you are, we're going to be standing at the back of our mat, taking the feet a little bit wider than hips width, and then reaching the arms up toward the ceiling here, forearms, palms facing each other, and just hanging out here for a bit. Okay, notice how you're standing in space. Is there a big dip in through your lower back? Is your belly hanging forward? If there's compression in through your spine, slightly tuck the tailbone by engaging the lower core. You'll feel a slight engagement through your lower glutes. But then soften your knees and relax through your toes. There you go. Roll the shoulder blades down and back, keeping that height in through your spine. Try to keep that chin parallel to the ground. Inhale, lengthen. Listen up. Exhale, hinge from the hips, but stop the moment that the shoulders line up to the hips. You want to try to keep those arms reaching forward, okay? Eyes toward the mat. Again, tucking the tailbone so there's not a big dip in through your lumbar spine. Your core is entirely engaged. We're going to be here for a bit, okay? You'll be surprised how much energy and heat gets built from this. So if this becomes too much, limit your angle or take the palms to the thighs. Majority of your weight is at the heels. So you should be able to lift up all 10 toes and wiggle them around. Try to lift up the arm bones a little bit more, getting into the muscles of your back. And keep the shoulder scapula down. Okay, taking 2 final slow breaths. Come back into that original pose where you're just standing up with the arms overhead. Recorrect your posture, so tucking your tailbone, finding height, soften your toes. Okay, final set, second round, hinging from those hips. Nice and easy here to start. Ujjayi breath all the way, in and out of the nose. If you feel heated, and that could be a heated not just physically but emotionally, you're starting to get angry with me right now, or you're starting to get frustrated, you're inhaling through the nose, you're exhaling out of the mouth, okay? Final 5, 4, 3, we're changing it up, 2, forward fold, exhale. Bend your knees a little bit deeper now, look past your inner thighs, and then just really allow the upper body to hang forward. Crown of the head is parallel to the ground. Perch up onto your fingertips, flat back, inhale. Forward fold, exhale. Start to walk your palms forward into a downward dog. So take your time setting up. Palms are shoulders width, feet are hips width. We're just going to let the body stretch in here for a couple of counts. If you look up toward the palms for a moment, try today to get the creases of the inner elbow, or I should say just above the forearm, to face one another. All 10 of your knuckles are firmly grounded. Just take about 2 more breaths here. Continuing the stretch, you're going to walk the big toes together to touch at the back of the mat. And then inhale the right leg up. Keep an internal rotation. We'll add on in a minute. Internal rotation, keep the right foot flexed, squeeze the right glute muscle, heavy on the heel. Taking a deep breath in. This is an option to get into some core. If you're comfortable here, stay here. And of course, you can always take that child's pose if it becomes too much. Inhale, your next exhale, knee to the nose as you rock forward into a plank pose. 3-legged downward dog, kick it back up. Do that 4 more times. Exhale, knee to the nose. Inhale, reach it back up. Okay, continue with a nice slow flow with movement. Full range if it's there. Full control. Okay, when you're done the last one, you're just going to hold that original posture where that right leg is reaching up toward the ceiling. And now just stack the hip. So reaching that right leg nice and high, opening up the side of the body to the side of the wall, and then even bend the knee. Okay, do any kind of add-on exercises or modifications that you're aware of. Otherwise, check on your shoulders, square them off, and just take 2 more breaths here. Beautiful. You're going to look to the top of the mat, and you're going to take the right knee right down to the floor like you're coming into a tabletop. Automatically lift that left leg up. Option 1 here. Option 2, reach the right arm back for the foot if it's there. If you need help balancing, tuck the right toes under, and then start to kick through that left leg, squeezing your glute, really opening up through the chest. Okay, getting that nice opening in through the front of the shoulder. Remember, if your body is saying, ow, 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 then you've gone too far. You'll know the moment that your breath has stopped. So you want to make sure that you're still breathing. Final 2. Good job. Tabletop, cat-cows to flush. Inhale, dropping your belly. Exhale, rounding through the spine. Just continue to move in and out of cat-cow at your own pace. Good. On your next inhale, tuck the toes, down dog, exhale. Again, nice and slow to start, grounding the heels, pushing that chest palate toward your thigh bones. Let's walk the big toes together to touch. And then inhale your left leg up. Keeping that kneecap facing the mat, you're here for a few breaths. Remember, we don't want to rush the process of these slow, more static stretches, still getting into some power as we're holding the body in place. Giving ourselves that time can really work on lengthening the muscles, getting into any kind of built-up tissue matter to release any kind of knots, finding that realignment in your body. Beautiful. Taking an inhale, maybe add on knee to the nose on an exhale as you rock into that high plank position. 3-legged down dog. Continue 4 more. The slower, more controlled you go, the more you're coming into core and strength. If you're going fast, you're going to be tapping into more of like an endurance set. So if you do want that, you're going to double your count to 10. Good. After that last one, you're holding that 3-legged downward dog, but you're just going to open it up. So stack your left hip on top of the right, squeezing that glute muscle nice and tight to lift the weight to the leg in space. Maybe even bending that left knee to get a little bit deeper of an opening, getting a little bit of a twist in through the lumbar to the thoracic spine, keeping your core engaged. Square your shoulders. Push the heart toward your right thigh, taking 2 more breaths. We're slowly transitioning into that tabletop. So take your time to slowly take that left knee toward the mat, eyes to the top of the mat as you reach your right leg up. Nice work. Option 1, you're staying here. Option 2, left arm reaches back to grab a hold of the foot, and then just work on squeezing that back glute here to go for height, lifting through your heart for just a couple more breaths. Good. Tabletop into those cat-cows to just flush it out. Rounding out on your exhale. Really working on expelling all of the breath from the body. And we're we're going to get into the toes a little bit next. Walk your kneecaps together, tuck your toes under, and slowly bring yourself up to a kneeling position. You could always take a pillow underneath the glutes. Again, pay attention to your back. Tuck the tailbone, so there's a slight engagement through the front, but then it's also going to help to lengthen out the lower back. Your palms could just rest down on the thighs. Closing the eyes and just allow gravity to do the work here. A lot of people have different responses in this one. Some may laugh uncontrollably, or maybe you're starting to feel a little bit of anger, agitation, perhaps maybe even sadness. So your body holds memories throughout the body. And this is the beauty of practicing yoga at a slower pace, when you're really able to feel what's happening from within, because then you could create that space and you could work on letting go of the emotion, or sometimes even the memory that's in that area of your body. Okay, 2 more breaths. Nice work. Gently open the eyes, plant the palms, slightly lift up the toes, circle out through the ankles here. Move the feet to the side as you come to a seated, and you reach the legs toward the top of your mat. Walk the flesh and the muscle back, so you find your sit bones and you're able to sit nice and tall. Bending the left knee, and then just allow that left knee to open up to the side so the inner foot is coming toward the inner right thigh. Again, reposition yourself if you need to move the flesh and muscle. Flex the right foot, inhale, lifting up through the heart, hinging from the hip, and let's try to keep a flat back on this. Okay, you're here for a minute, looking toward the ankle or the area of the shin. Shaking out the head a little bit, just a few more breaths. Okay, stay present in the body and the experience. Open the eyes with helping hands, just bring yourself back up. We're not releasing yet. You're going to take your left palm, plant it directly behind you, about a palms to 2 palms width away from the hips, from the glutes. And you're going to lift up your body, reaching the right arm back. Okay, weight is on the left shin and the right foot. Of course, the left palm as well. You're pushing the hips up and forward, and maybe even open up that right arm, breathing into the side lungs. Final breath before you mindfully touch down and release. Nice work. Plant the palms behind you, windshield the knees from side to side. And then coming back to that starting pose. So reaching the legs forward, take those fingers, move the flesh back, roll the shoulders down and back a little bit. Bending the right knee, and then let's open up that right knee to the side, pulling that right foot toward the inner thigh. Inhale, lengthen your spine, and for 1 minute, hinging from the hips, and just enjoy the stretch. Soften the gaze, and as time ticks away, just work on deepening your breath, deepening the stretch with time. And just observing whatever it is that's coming up without getting too attached. Open the eyes with helping hands, bring yourself up. Let's take 2 shoulder rolls first, okay? Roll the shoulders forward and up, inhale. Out of the mouth, back and down. 2 more. Planting that right palm directly behind you. Let's lift up through the hips, press the hips forward, and getting that reflection pose on the opposite side. Really find that extension with the left arm back. Enjoy the stretch for what it is. Squeezing your glutes slightly, just to make sure you keep the body supported, the structures in place. Maybe open up that left arm to get into the front of the pec. Slightly bring the chin to the chest and then slowly lower down the hips. Just as you did before, step the palms back, feet are at mat's width, windshield the knees from side to side. And then crossing at the ankles, coming into a tabletop. And now coming up to stand on the knees. Okay, just 2 sets of camel. You don't have to go all the way, but let's tuck that tailbone again and then lift up through the heart. Start to press the hips forward and lean the upper body back, keeping your palms on your lower back. Now moving at your own risk, listen to your body. Of course, if there's any kind of injuries through your spine, you know your body, you're responsible and accountable for it. So move slowly. You're only competing against yourself. 2 more breaths. Bring your shoulders back to the hips and then coming down to the heels. Close the eyes. Take a moment to just reset here. We're coming into a second set. Whether you go deeper, maybe you pull back a bit, or maybe you go all the way. Coming up onto the knees. If you want to try to reach for the heels just for a different stretch, tuck the toes under, lift up the heart, and remember the further you go back, the more the hips need to press forward. Maybe one palm comes to the heel, maybe the other. And make sure you're trying to press those hips, so you're trying to stack them closer toward the front top of the shin, toward the knees. Engaging through Mula Bandh, maybe look up, maybe take the head all the way back. 2 more breaths. Chin toward the chest, palms to your lower back, bring yourself up. And then slowly lower down for 2 breaths in a kneeling position before coming into a child's pose. Getting ready for your add-on.